If you've listened to more than one episode of our podcast, you've certainly heard us talk about the health benefits of giving up drinking or even taking a break. Well, today we've got proof. I'm interviewing a P90 graduate, Evan Melcher, who recently celebrated 1 year alcohol-free. Evan is a numbers guy. So when he began this journey with us over a year ago, he decided to get the stats. He's going to share some of those numbers with you today. And I think it's going to really inspire you to understand that giving up alcohol is so much more than just swapping out booze for something bubbly in your glass. The implications are so far-reaching, and I'm excited for you to hear Evan's story. Before we get started, I wanted to remind you that you too can hop on this journey with us. You can book a discovery call with me or another one of our awesome coaches at alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. We'll have a 15-minute chat. It's free. Let's see if we're a fit for one another. If you're a high performer over the age of 35 or so, and you've been banging your head against the wall trying to get this alcohol thing behind you, book that call. Even if you think we may not be a fit, did you know that 95% of our content is free online? So hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Just look for @JamesSwanwick. You can also follow me, Victoria English 1111 on Instagram. I'm on Facebook as well. And I haven't branched out into Twitter or TikTok. Let's see if I get there this year. You can also find James in tons of magazine articles, newspaper segments. He outlines the same process that we walk our clients through in Project 90. Our goal is to help as many people as possible. So take a look for us all over the internet. And of course, if you think you meet our demographic, over 35, you identify as a high performer, and you haven't been able to stop on your own, maybe you don't want to. Maybe AA isn't for you. You've heard me say it's 2022, and there are lots of paths to becoming alcohol-free. So whatever you do, find your path. We're here to support you. Let's get started with this awesome interview. Enjoy. Today is a powerful episode, and I am so glad that you are here to listen. I am interviewing a Project 90 graduate and a personal friend as we've grown close during his whole alcohol-free journey. Evan Melcher just celebrated 1 year alcohol-free. He is 394 days alcohol-free today. Evan is a financial advisor. He and his wife, Jennifer, live outside of Atlanta with their 2 boys, Nate and Ezra. He's been married to Jennifer for over 10 years. They live on a horse farm because Jennifer is an animal veterinarian. Evan is 46 and came into our program just over a year ago. The results are astounding, and he's here to share not only what happened with his metrics, things that are measurable like cholesterol, sleep quality, things like that, but the immeasurable things, the things that we can't really grasp when we first put down the drink, all of the wonderful things that have happened in his life. So Evan, thank you for being here. Happy to see you.
It's awesome to see you, Coach V.
We had a lot of fun. Evan was a wonderful member, and I'm really glad you're here sharing the results of 1 year alcohol-free. Evan wrote an article that was published in Medium, on LinkedIn, Facebook. I don't even know where else it's spread, but just on LinkedIn alone, Evan had over 36,000 people read his article about why he went alcohol-free for 1 year and what happened. So I encourage you to look him up on the internet, on LinkedIn, Facebook, etc., to read more. So Evan, I remember your first call. I remember meeting you, and you told me a little bit about why you came into Project 90, what was going on in life. Can you tell us a little bit about why you decided to take a break from alcohol?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So at the time I was making an investment in my business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided, it would be really good for me to be 100% focused. I felt like I was definitely a consistent 7, sometimes maybe a 6 or an 8, but felt like really for a period of time, I really wanted to level up to a 10 and just wanted to focus all of my efforts on investing. Not only, I was bringing another person on full time. So there was a commitment to them I wanted to make. There was a commitment to my clients I wanted to make. And I also didn't want to compromise through that time, the time that I spent with my family.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like joining Project 90 was a great way for me to, be 100% focused.
Mm-hmm.
It was also coming at a time where we were coming out of the pandemic. And I think along with a lot of other people, maybe one glass of wine a night turned into 2, and, one extra pound here or there turned into 20. And so, the desire to just, be healthier, I think also felt really good for me. So that's why I joined.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You described 2020 as a triple whammy.
Yeah, 2020 was tough, right? Everybody had the pandemic and everybody faced that. And it obviously impacted different people in different ways. So I would consider that to be one of kind of the whammies that hit us as a family. Secondly, I had a back problems that deteriorated over time and continued to get worse and got to the point where I needed to have spine surgery. So going into the hospital in the middle of the pandemic, before there was a vaccine, and having back surgery, that kind of took me out of my normal routine of doing exercise or other things for a period of time was really a challenge as well, kind of mentally. And then lastly, and this has taken some time to get to where I could even frankly speak about it, but lastly, we had an incident where my youngest son, Ezra, he had just turned 3, and he actually drowned in a pool at a neighbor's house. And we were there. My wife and I were there. Another couple was there, and thankfully, we got him out and had to perform CPR. And after a couple minutes, got him back, and he did spend time in the hospital recovering from that. And thank God he's totally fine. He just turned 5 and he just started kindergarten. He's great. But I think back upon that incident, and it was definitely the exception that we were not drinking that day. Typically we would, go and have a couple beers and hang out. And, thankfully for whatever reason, I decided not to drink that day and was able to perform CPR and get him back. But, you think back to those incidents and you think, oh my goodness, what would have happened? What could have happened if the adults there were impaired and couldn't, perform that miracle? So, so 2020 was definitely the triple whammy that kind of woke me up in a lot of ways.
Yes. I'll say, yeah, the pandemic was I look at the pandemic as a collective trauma because it affected everybody. Going through something like a spine surgery, certainly with the recovery and not being able to exercise and things like that, many people will turn to numbing out with some drinks. I've had a lot of knee surgeries, and I used wine as a pain reliever. So I relate to that. And then I think any parent or anyone who loves a child, has a child in their life, that just made my blood run cold. And we know as parents that life is so random and anything can happen at any time. And I think one thing that took me a while to wrap my head around was letting go of some of the shame of having been impaired during times and thinking, what if something had gone wrong? What would I have done? So thank goodness you were alcohol-free that day and could react appropriately. And of course, thank God that he's okay. So, it does feel good as a parent now to know that, hey, life is random and things can still happen, but at least I have all my faculties and can do my best.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think about that a lot, right? And so it's been a great 400, almost 400 days.
Yes.
But that's not how it started. It just, for me, it started with 90 days. And that was kind of my intention. So it has kind of morphed, right?
For sure. You are one of many, many members who comes in and says, okay, I'm taking a break for 90 days and then I will drink moderately and I will go on with my life. And look, some people do, but most people love how they feel and decide, actually, I'm just going to keep this going. And I've been waiting on this interview for a long time because at the beginning, Evan, being a numbers guy, told us, he said, I'm going to wear an Apple Watch and an Oura Ring and measure my health metrics. Because you mentioned that even after surgery and losing some weight that you'd put on during the pandemic and surgeries, that you were plagued with inconsistent sleep patterns, high cholesterol, acid reflux, and anxiety. Boy, those are things that every member talks about when they come in. They've got, they can't sleep. They're anxious. Many, many times their cholesterol is high. That acid reflux, ooh, that's a big one. People are popping pills for that. And for the most part, I don't know anyone who is still suffering with that when they give up alcohol. So you said you'd been taking medication for your cholesterol, the reflux, and the anxiety for over a decade.
Yeah.
And you said that you were curious to see what would happen. Hey, I'm going to take a break for 90 days. Let me see this. Being the numbers guy I am, I'm going to measure these metrics. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So, over a decade of anti-anxiety medication, acid reflux prescription medication. I was doing frequent endoscopies to make sure, just to kind of check on how that acid was impacting my my stomach and my esophagus, and it was just not on a good trend. And being someone in the early to mid 40s and being on this medication, some of that medication becomes lifelong medication and has other detrimental effects as well. And so I had tried over the years to stop the different medications, and I would always kind of have these rebounds. It didn't really matter what excuse me, which medication it was. I always had a rebound of some kind and wasn't able to kind of break that cycle. And so, I was able to wean myself off of the different medications as I went through the Project 90. And then at the end of Project 90, I went to my doctor and had a recheck. And so I'm really religious about my annual physical in January every year. Yeah. And every year I go back and get tested and I have to stay on the medications. And so I went back for kind of a mid-year check after Project 90, and I had dropped off the medication. And the doctor was blown away. I mean, just because my cholesterol fell to a level that was below where it was when I was on the statins. Wow. I was no longer having to take my my anti-anxiety medication and felt more, kind of balanced and even. And then my acid reflux was gone. Now, I mean, there were other things that I did in my life that I think helped in all these areas. And I think in general that you're either in life spiraling up or you're spiraling down. And we might have talked about this during the program, but I mean, what I mean by that is, if you put the kids to bed and then you rush down and you have that glass of wine, and then you have the glass of wine, so you feel like, okay, well, now I want a snack to go with the wine.
Yes.
So now you're having late night wine. Now you're having late night snacks. So then your sleep is impacted. You're not getting as much sleep. So then you don't wake up fresh. You don't feel like exercising. So you don't have as much energy during the day. So you're not putting 100% into your work or your family or whatever the case may be. Right. So you're spiraling down. And then that causes you to need, whether it's mood balancers or anti-anxiety medication, or it's the acid reflux medication because you drank wine and ate late. And so to the other side of that is you're spiraling up, right? So you're You're not eating past 7 o'clock. And so, you're putting on the blue light blocking glasses and not consuming the technology. You're not drinking the wine. So you get a better night's sleep. So you wake up in the morning and you refresh. And so you get more exercise, and all those things help you perform better, lower your cholesterol, better moods, right? And so I think stopping alcohol by itself, I'm sure, would have a positive impact on those metrics. But when you combine it with all the other dominoes that fall when you're in that pattern, it can have obviously a big multiplier effect.
Absolutely. Right. For our listeners, I call alcohol the big domino, because it's no small task to topple that bad boy. But when you do, as Evan referenced, everything else just seems to be easier. So if you topple that big domino, the others just kind of go. Eating habits, better sleep, less anxiety, getting a good rest so you're prepared for the next day. So you're not fretting over the meeting or feeling brain fog and snapping at the kids because you're exhausted, you're stressed, you're anxious to get them to bed so that you can go self-medicate. All those things. It's incredible, Evan. And I appreciate that you measured so many of these things, because we talk about them, but you have really just explained it all so well, and it's tangible. You can't argue with these metrics.
Yeah, I mean, you asked for teasers when we were doing the program, and I said I wanted to wait until the end. And and now that I'm a year out, right, I can reflect on it even more. And I think it's incredible. So my resting heart rate dropped by over 10 beats a minute, which is over 5 million heartbeats a year.
Yes.
Which is incredible. So my heart thanks me and thanks you for leading me through the program. But, I've gone from sleep scores that were average to low to well above average or optimal. So that's been incredible. And like I mentioned, some of the other metrics like cholesterol and things like that just have blown my physician away. So yeah, it's been a really great year. And I think that's kind of what, when it started with the 90 days and I got to the end and things were going so well, and I had that kind of 90, 100-day streak intact, then you don't want to break the streak. So I wanted to kind of keep it going. And then since then, right, you keep getting this positive reinforcement. Like I went to the doctor the other day, I went to the dermatologist, right? And you fill out all the little forms. And one of the things I used to feel so guilty about was going to the doctor and you fill out all those forms when you get there. And it says, how many alcoholic drinks do you consume a week? And, you used to put 2, 4, whatever the numbers, the number was, and you feel guilty about it, right? Because you're not telling the truth. And, but to put 0 and to just, I almost wait for someone to question me, like to say, really 0, right? Is it really 0?
Too, isn't that great?
Yeah, but it feels so good.
Does feel great. Yes, to be able to honestly say, no, the answer is 0.
Hi, this is James Swanwick, and we're taking applications for our 90-day and 1-year stop drinking programs. Clients are mostly executives, entrepreneurs, and investors who have tried unsuccessfully and repeatedly to stop drinking but remain stuck in a frustrating cycle of stop-start, stop-start. Our programs are not AA, which has a reported 7% success rate. Our programs are not rehab, which has a reported 6% success rate. Our 90-day and 1-year programs involve a safe, fun, virtual community of high achievers with a process that boasts an incredible 92% success rate of clients reaching at least 90 consecutive days alcohol-free. We use the latest neuroscience and personal development processes to help rewire clients' brains around alcohol and minimize its importance in their lives. We will show you how to powerfully socialize with friends, family, and colleagues, what to say and how to say it so people don't mistakenly think that you're an alcoholic or have a problem, and how to eliminate the temptation of returning to constant drinking so you can finally break the stop-start cycle. To ensure client success, Project 90 can only accept 15 new clients each month. Some of those happy clients include John Keltner from California, who said, I've lost 10 pounds. Susie Vaughn, a real estate broker in Tennessee, who said, I've generated 20% more leads. Jessica Gaines-Jarbo from Kentucky, who says, I've now got joy, focus, presence, and clarity. And Joe Worley from Michigan, who says, my wife has the real Joe back. If you're an executive, entrepreneur, or investor who's sick of the stop-start cycle and the damaging effects alcohol has on your health, happiness, and family, and you're ready to regain confidence, become more present with your spouse and children, reduce stress, anxiety, and irritability, sleep better, increase focus and productivity, and feel better quickly, you're invited to apply to become a Project 90 client. Applicants can apply for an introductory interview by visiting alcoholfreelifestyle.com/project90. There's a link in the show notes, which you can just click, but that link is alcoholfreelifestyle.com/project90. Application interviews are limited and are conducted on a first-come, first-served basis. If there are no remaining interview times available, wait a few weeks and try again. Let's get back to the show.
Imagine if they could, I mean, and I'm asking our listeners too, and I've asked this of our members, can you think of one other thing that you could have done in your life that would have such a profound impact? When people talk about, what they've achieved, I say, but what if you could package alcohol-free living into a pill and market it and say, side effects may include saving 5 million heartbeats per year, getting off several other medications, improved sleep, improved relationships with your family, better skin.
Yeah.
Imagine
improved physical health. And,
yes.
I'm in the best cardiovascular health I've ever been in as an adult, for sure. And that's measurable, right? Now that everything we have, we can measure it. My relationship with my kids and my wife has never been better. Growing up in a household where, with a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old, where my kids are never going to remember a day when I was drinking, which is mind blowing. Right.
That is.
And I just remember being in our program and having our calls and I won't say his name, but I remember one of our more senior members saying, wow, if I could have gone back in time and stopped when I was in my 40s instead of in my 60s,
yes,
the difference that could have made in the relationships that I had and the example that I set for my kids is mind blowing. And what a gift to be able to do that in your 40s with young kids at home. And that really stuck with me. Most of what this member said stuck with me. But yeah, that in particular stuck with me. And I just think to myself, man, I'm never going to get everything right, but this is one thing I feel like I'm on the right side of when it comes to raising my kids.
That's so powerful. That's the most powerful thing.
Yeah.
Because it's great to have those metrics. And that, of course, influences everything as well. But showing up as an alcohol-free dad.
Yeah. It's awesome. I remember, it's so funny. I remember the thing I was most nervous about when I joined Project 90. I remember in the first couple of weeks, I was so I felt ashamed. So I didn't want anybody to know that I was doing it.
I remember.
And I remember thinking, okay, I need help preparing. We're going to a dinner date, with friends, and we always have good food and we have good wine. And so we're going to show up and I'm going to say I'm doing this 90-day break. And how do I just say that I'm not drinking without it seeming like I have a problem or I have an issue? And I felt so much, shame around that and trepidation. And it's just totally flipped. And I've gotten to a place where when I say that I'm not drinking or I'm good, I'm proud of it now. I kind of want to sing it from the mountaintops without being kind of preachy, right? Like this is for me and it's a decision that's right for me. But I do find myself a year ago, I felt that I was afraid to make that pronouncement. And now I feel very proud when I make that pronouncement if someone asks me. And so it's just amazing how your whole mentality shifts when you realize that, most people are drinking at the table at dinner or at that work event or whatever. If you're that one or two people that aren't drinking and you are 100% present and cognizant and taking it all in and not numbing out, it's just amazing. Because I think I remember Jeff Salzburn saying, gosh, I'm at a place now where I feel like everybody else is staying stagnant and I'm running ahead of everybody right now. Bingo. And it just, you kind of can't help but feel that, right? When you're showing up as a 10 in life and everybody else is just kind of muddling along as a 6 or a 7 because they're handicapping themselves.
Yes, I agree that yes, they are handicapping themselves. What you're doing right now, Evan, you are part of our movement. At Alcohol-Free Lifestyle, we are wellness. We don't ask that people label themselves as an alcoholic. And I mentioned that when I reposted your article. Evan is not an alcoholic. He doesn't need that label across his forehead. It's not something he needs to carry around like an albatross for the rest of his life. I'm an alcoholic. The idea here is to intervene before it gets bad. Because the nature of drinking is it progresses. If you drink a certain way at age 45 and you keep going, dollars to donuts at age 50, you're going to look back and say, wow, I wish I could only drank like I did at 45. And so why not put a stop to an unhealthy pattern, an unhealthy habit that isn't serving you? I loved Evan's approach when he came in because he was so logical about the whole thing. This is not making sense. This is not adding up. And so I'm going to make a change. So this approach is really just about prevention of more dis-ease in our lives.
Yeah. I mean, and I was looking for an accountability group when I wanted to do this. And so that's how I found Project 90. I was looking around and researching different groups. And that's one of the things that resonated with me about your program versus a lot of others. A lot of others were focused on being an alcoholic and how do you know that you're an alcoholic and what do you, right? And I did not feel like I was an alcoholic. My wife did not feel like I was an alcoholic. I was not I didn't hit rock bottom. I was, honestly, I felt like a lot of people looked at my life and said, man, that guy's a 10. And I just felt personally upon self-reflection that I was probably a 7 and felt like I wanted to be that embodiment of what other people saw in me. Right. And so I wanted to level up to a 10. And in fact, my alcohol tracker that I have, I called it, level up, right? Because I wanted to level my game up to a 10. And so, that's what resonated with me about this program. It wasn't, that I felt like I was an alcoholic. It was just, I felt like I wanted an accountability group that could help me, go that 90 days, gain the tools and the skills that I felt like I needed so that I could, go to those events and do those social outings and those work outings without needing that drinking in my hand or the glass of red wine every single night.
Yes.
And it's just through the program. I mean, my eyes were opened up, and through additional reading and the videos that you guys have, it just allowed me to kind of see that this was a lifestyle that I wanted to stick with.
Right.
And I liked my lifestyle better when alcohol wasn't in it anymore.
Yes.
But that wasn't my intention. And when I started out, right, that's how it ended up. And I'm happy that it ended up that way.
Me too. And we don't have to think about all that. How am I going to do this for a year, the rest of my life? Just get started. And when you look at Evan and you think, man, this guy has leveled up everywhere across the board, and you've got the numbers to prove it. We love numbers, right? Going back to drinking would be a deliberate choice to level down.
Wow. That's a good way to put it.
I choose to level down now. I've got all this data. I've got all I've got an improved life across the board. I'm a better role model, better husband, better friend. And I'm just going to go ahead and level down. I don't see that happening for you, Evan. No way.
Who wants to do that? Who wants to do that, right?
Who wants to do that? Exactly.
Yeah, we want things that are going to make us more efficient, make us better, make us more effective, find those shortcuts, right? And so if you find that kind of that life hack, which I feel like I've kind of found now, why would you go backwards? It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel logical to me. So,
Right. I love it. Right. Giving up alcohol is the ultimate life hack, in my opinion. And we have the numbers to prove it over here at Alcohol Free Lifestyle. 95% success rate in Project 90.
It's incredible. I tout the program a lot when I'm talking to other people. I mean, because you mentioned the 36,000 people on LinkedIn that have read that article. I've had countless conversations since I posted that 4th of July. And I mean, their direct messages, their emails, their phone calls, like, hey, can I have a conversation with you about my situation? Or, which has just been incredible. So I'm just trying to help where I can and talk about where I was and what I was going through at the time and what got me to where I am today. And, my thought is if it can help one or two people that are interested in having that conversation, then, I'm happy to do that because it can obviously have a ripple effect. And I even think within my own company and my colleagues and my teammates, I've had countless people reach out and ask similar questions or say similar things. And I'm like, man, if this could help, it helped me be better, which is obviously helping my clients. It's helping my community. It's helping my company. And if there's 5 or 10 people that also hear that message that get better, it'll just make, all of us better, which is great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before we wind up, tell us what is next in year 2 of your alcohol-free life. Any ideas? Any plans?
Well, I mean, shortly after I finished this program, I joined a men's mastermind group. And so I've kind of continued the alcohol-free life accountability through that group and also trying to figure out how to be, kind of the best version of myself and the best man I can be to show up better for my family. And, so that's it. But also, continuing to invest in myself. So I think obviously that's important. Just trying to live a life that I'm proud of. I just don't want to get to the end of this life that I'm living and look back and have regrets. And so just trying to kind of maximize life, live it to its fullest, help where I can, be an engaged and present dad, be a good husband, so just the normal stuff.
Just the normal awesomeness, right? I love it. You're bringing so much good to the world. So much good. Thank you. And
as are you, my friend.
Well, thank you. It's good to be useful in this life, right? And
for sure,
the ripple effect will continue to astound you. The people that you reach and just the way that we walk through the world when we are alcohol free is just different. We just have a different energy about us, a different light. There's so much to gain. So thank you for being here. Again, Evan Melcher, you can look him up everywhere. Reach out, connect with him to learn more and just see what he's gotten up to in these 394 days of living out alcohol-free. You're a great role model for your boys and for so many. And I'm just very grateful that we were able to be part of your journey and so happy that we stay in touch. Evan and I catch up on the phone every few months, text, Facebook. It's such a pleasure to know you. So thank you for coming back.
Thank you, Victoria.
Progress.
Oh, and thank you for your coaching and for you and James and others, all the other coaches that, started this program and continue to offer it and make the world a better place. It's been really incredible. You guys run an amazing community. And the fact that we're all able to stay in touch kind of post the 90-day program is also really inspiring. It's a real deal. It's awesome. So thank you.
Well, thank you. It's an honor. All right. Well, until next time, everyone, thanks for listening. Have an awesome day. Cheers to leveling up.
Hi there, this is James Swanwick. Thank you so much for listening to the show. I would be so grateful if you would leave a review. That will help us climb the rankings and get our show exposed to so many more people who could really benefit from the content. You can do that by going into Apple Podcasts, rating the show, writing a little one-sentence summary, and posting it. That would be so amazing. Thank you. Likewise, if you would like to schedule a 15-minute exploratory call and apply for our Project 90 program, then you can do so by going to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/project90. If you'd like to get the free guide, that is the Alcohol Freedom Formula Guide, you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. Our YouTube channel is at alcoholfreelifestyle.com/YouTube. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at James Swanwick. Thank you so much for listening. We so appreciate you, and we'll catch you on the next one.